Yeah, I didn't really think it totally through when I had to have the eye patch on for like 10 hours and suddenly have no depth perception and I'm bumping into things and it's not nearly as fun as I was hoping. So I was stoked at first and then I realized it was going to be a long few more years of enduring.
Welcome Mr. Chandler Riggs to the stage. All right.
How's it going, guys?
Chandler Riggs, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here. You got yourself your crowd here, and let me just start off. I feel like we just had Superman sitting in here, so let me just start off with the typical superhero intro. What is Chandler Riggs? What is your origin story? How did you get into the business? And was TWD your first gig?
I had done some other commercials and small parts in movies and theater stuff. I was a munchkin in The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, come on.
That was one of my big breaks. Yeah.
Nice. All right.
Yep. And then booked Walking Dead when I was 10. It was great.
All right. So, and you were a Georgia native, so you were a local hire. What is that like? And I'm sure I'm going to ask you a few questions that I'm sure you've been asked a million times. So I am sorry. You got the script? You got the script? All right. He's like, all right. Question number 3 here. No, okay. So, and I'll try to keep this to be the last of the kind of typical question you get all the time. What is that like though? Getting cast, 10 years old, and you're what, number 4 on the call sheet, number 5 or something?
Close
like
7, number 7.
Yeah. I mean, that is huge though.
It was. Yeah.
What is that transition like for you, especially at that age?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know. I had done a couple of other things, and going into being on the show, it wasn't like anything. Just like day to day, it wasn't anything monumentally different from anything that I was already doing. I was already missing school to go into auditions or whatever. So yeah, it wasn't too big of a change, but it was like the coolest thing in the world. I mean, like, I was 10, 11 when I started on the show, and just being that old and being on a show based on a comic book where your character is awesome and kills zombies. Like, it was so cool just coming up to set every day and seeing what crazy thing we were going to do adapt from the comic today. It was awesome.
And were you very familiar? You were 10, so you probably weren't reading the comic books at that point.
I was, yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yes,
all right.
Yeah, so, probably shouldn't have been. But
how did you feel how they handled things? Like, there's a lot of different things. Like, they faked us out a lot. If you were someone who read the comic books.
How many comic readers we got? Okay. All right. That's not bad. Yeah.
All right. So all of us were shocked when it was Denise and not Abraham on the railroad tracks then.
Yeah.
So that gets to my kind of question. Like, how was that for you, especially as a fan who's on the show now? Like, were you like, oh, this is coming now? And were you faked out a lot when it came to script reading? And you're like, oh shit, they're not going this way.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, there was, that was definitely a big one. But I mean, there's some things that I thought they did better. Some things that maybe not as good, adapted. That's true. Yes, that's very true. Yeah. But I do think that was like a welcomed adaptation, like in the show. I think it was done really well. And I think if it was done how in the comics, I think if, done like that in the comics, I don't know if it would have been as impactful, Yeah.
It was very powerful, that scene. Yeah. And that, you have a lot of powerful scenes in this series throughout it, but that may have been that first one, I think, with you where, I mean, like, as a crowd, we're like, oh my God, I'm feeling, not am I feeling just Carl's, I'm feeling Chandler's emotions at this time. Do you remember that scene and what it was like filming that?
Yeah,
I mean, emotions?
It took us like 2 days to shoot that whole sequence, and it was just like nonstop crying for like 10 hours straight for 2 days, and it was like, oh man, it was just brutal. And then we brought in the baby, and it, it's like this poor baby was like brand new, man, like straight out of the oven. Like, oh man, I don't know. Oh gosh! And
so it was not an animatronic baby.
No, it was
like
a real baby. Real baby. Yeah.
We just went to the Georgia hospital.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think it was like
I don't want to do
a week old or something crazy. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that's the way you get your first credit. I would say. Good way to do it.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to being on such an iconic show like The Walking Dead, and you're not just playing any character on the show. You are playing a lot of people who would read this like one of the main characters, if not the main character in the book. A lot of people would say Rick, but I mean, Carl survives. Like, I mean, if anyone who's read the book all the way to the end, I mean, like Old Man Carl, which is a great comic book. Me too. So that's kind of what I was going to get into. My question to you is, how is it dealing with fans of the comic book while you're filming it and the series is going on? Are you like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, or is like what is that experience like for you, I guess, and expectations from the fans towards what actually happened on the show?
I feel like the show and the comics are two different experiences, you know, and I think it's good that it's that way, you know, that like the comic is genuinely a different entertainment experience than the show, and I think it's great because, you know, people that love the show can go and read the comics and have it's not just the same thing regurgitated. They're not like one-to-one for every frame. It's not every piece of dialogue, you know. It's for the first, you know, few seasons, there's a lot of really great scenes adapted from it, and it's they're taken and expanded upon and made, you know, dive deeper into the story and everything that you don't get the chance in the comics, and vice versa, really, you know. So it wasn't too difficult really handling it, because it's like, you know, it's always like, oh, just wait, we got some cool stuff coming. Right.
I would feel that being on The Walking Dead would be very similar to being on a show like Game of Thrones, where every week you're like, okay, and even you got to be like, oh, I know Carl does all right, but I never know this is a TV, and as we know, right? But what I guess what is the feeling like going through all this? Like, is there nerves? Were you nervous each week, like when you're getting your script for the next episode?
I think, like myself, and I can probably speak on the behalf of a lot of you guys, I thought Carl was pretty safe, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But you know, that's just kind of how the show goes, and how you know, it's a lot of the adaptions that we've been talking about. That's how it goes. There was one crazy thing that in season 6 I got the script for the 3rd episode or 4th episode, one of the episodes, and usually we get like a pretty like big heads up if a character is going to, if you know, an actor is going to be leading us in the show. Like we find out like multiple episodes in advance and or months in advance sometimes. And for this one, we got no heads up, and it was episode 3 or 4, and it's Glenn with the dumpster.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And in the script, it doesn't say that like he is like good. It's like it says that Glenn is like being torn apart. And I remember just reading that and being like, what? This is not yet. We're not there yet. And you know,
that's
like,
not Negan.
What?
That's not Negan.
No. Yeah.
Was that the most controversial moment in the show that you would say that you've heard from fans? Because that was one of those ones where because I think a lot of us fans would have been all right if he actually died there. Like it would have sucked.
Yeah.
But I think we would have handled it better than us being like, wait, he survived that somehow?
Yeah. I think like it's a tough thing because you know, when you're a fan of a show and you're supporting it and you want to like see it succeed, you don't also want to be lied to, you know,
right.
Like faked out, you know, and I feel like there were some cases where there were like, you know, not super necessary fake outs and like, you know, kind of like tricking the fans. You're like, I gotcha, you know, just for the sake of gotcha, and then like not tell you for like 5 weeks until the next episode comes out, and you're like, oh, okay, he's good. You know.
Well, even like the Beth death was like one of those gotcha moments. You're like,
Yeah.
What?
Why?
Well, you guys everybody's cool. Why did this just happen?
Yeah.
You settled it peacefully. And
bang.
And we're like, oh yeah, Kirkman. Okay.
I know. Yeah. And I think you look at shows like Game of Thrones where it's they have those moments of the like, just like 4 main characters dead, It's like, yeah.
I legit stopped watching after the Red Wedding. That was my last episode of The Walking Dead. I'm not even kidding you. I was like,
yeah.
Pregnant belly, I'm done. I'm sorry. You did too much to me at this point. You're breaking my heart. It was, but I find that a lot of us were the same way when you died. Like when Carl passed, like if you read the comic books, once you survive the gunshot from the deer, we're like, this is
shot
Superman.
In the head and live, right?
Yeah, you get shot in the face. I mean, I'm like, there's no problem. This is, as you see over there, right? Yeah, like you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
I do want to point out here, I do not want to maximize Chandler's time. If any of you have questions, we have a nice little microphone right in the middle there. As you see the gentleman there, just go on up there, and we will take your questions as well. And what better time than now, I guess?
Yeah.
After you.
How was it when they told you that you were going to have to start wearing the eye patch and the hat regularly?
Yeah, I at the beginning of season 6, actually, I was told that Carl was gonna lose his eye this season, and I was like, yes! Like I was so stoked because I wasn't sure if they were gonna actually do it because with Rick's hand, they gave that to Merle, and I just wasn't sure if we were even gonna do it, but it's such a cool thing for Carl in the comics, and I was so stoked to like dive into that and get into all the memory loss and all sorts of stuff, yeah, I didn't really think it totally through when I had to have the eye patch on for like 10 hours and suddenly have no depth perception and I'm bumping into things and it's not nearly as fun as I was hoping. So I was stoked at first and then I realized it was going to be a long few more years of enduring.
The real reason why they killed him off was just practicality.
Just to let me, put me out of my misery.
What was it like doing The Talking Dead?
It's great. It's always so great to be on that show with with Chris Hardwick. He's so great and so nice, and it's an awesome thing to be part of.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good questions.
Hi. Is there an aspect of Carl or a story that you think the fandom tends to overlook usually?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I don't know. I feel like a lot of Carl gets pretty like analyzed really well. There's the scene in at the end of season 3 when Carl kills the kid in the woods and the governor, the kid running away. It's such a small window of character progression between like that moment and then in season 4 episode 1 where he's kind of done a 180 and it's so cool because it's like you kind of see him like right on the edge of like, okay, if he keeps going down this path, it's like full villain arc, like not good. But having Rick like step in and see that and like immediately take care of it, like no guns, nothing, not even Rick is like carrying guns, is it like kind of puts Carl back on the right path, and it's such a small window. But it's such a cool thing to like, and a very real thing to happen, and I just love that like window of that character. It's cool.
Thank you.
Great question. Hi there.
Hi. So I'm actually pretty new to like the Walking Dead universe. I was on chemo and I discovered it. And I kind of like fell in love with it and binged straight through it. And now I'm watching all the spinoffs. Did you know that like they were going to touch on you so much in the new Rick and Michonne show?
No, I had no idea. Yeah, I was kind of hoping because it's such, Andy was a big advocate of Carl being such an integral part of Rick. and I felt like it would make sense for I'm a little biased, obviously, but I felt like it would make sense that Carl would still be a driving force for Rick even after all these years, and Michonne really. So it was very cool to see Carl get brought up and mentioned a lot in The Ones Who Live.
It was awesome. It really was. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Any chance we get a dream sequence with Carl still alive?
Yeah, I would love to come back.
Because I could see it on that show. Like if it's going to happen anywhere, it would be on Rick and Michonne, right?
It would make sense. Yeah.
I actually have two. So did you actually eat that whole thing of pudding?
No.
How often do you get asked that?
Every convention.
Every convention.
I figured you did. That's why I went. The last one. What's it like to be Spider-Man?
Oh man, that was so cool.
I haven't seen the movie yet, so like try no.
Yeah. So I for those of you who don't know, I did it's just like a short horror take on Spider-Man. It came out a couple months ago, and it's such a blast to shoot. But oh man, I have so much more respect for Toby and Andrew and Tom, because man, like going up the wall. I mean, I'm sure they have like wires and stuff, helping them out. But for climbing up the wall, it is so hard to make that look believable, because you have to you're on the because like the wall is sideways, right? And the camera's just tilted, and so it just looks like you're going up, but you're just going sideways. And God, it is so hard to like stay on your like fingertips, your whole body weight, right? And like look like you're climbing up, but you're like gravity's pulling you down, but you can't look like gravity's pulling you down. You got to look like gravity's pulling you that way. So you got to like sell that you're like pushing up, and also not look like you're falling and hitting the ground. It is really hard, but it was a blast.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And we thank Adam West and Burt Ward for that technology.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's say in an alternate universe that your character didn't die, and they did a spinoff with you as an adult like 10, 20 years later. What do you think kind of story you would have loved to tell with Carl?
Oh man, I mean, the easy answer right there is the last issue of the comics.
Yeah.
There's so much like even just in that one issue, there's so much like world building, and like there's so much stuff that like that in that rich, full world that is wasn't explored intentionally, but it's just like it's just right there,
What if you could do something original with it?
Oh man, I don't know. I think like the fan favorite, ending is like Carl, like on his own with the katana and with Daryl's crossbow and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like the last Ronin of Walking Dead.
I know, right?
I love it.
I would buy
over
that.
Michelangelo. Carl's in the house.
Yeah.
How much do you hate Coral? Like, do you hate that, or
it's been like 12 years of getting that, and I've just kind of accepted that it's going to be a part of my life forever now.
Right.
And I'm never going to be able to escape.
So Dean Cain's like, I'm going to be called Superman forever, and poor Shatner's like, Coral.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? All because Andrew on one take.
I know.
And how many takes did they take of that? And it was probably the only one where you said it like that too, probably.
Yep.
I love it. Sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah. So between, the camp in the first season, the farmhouse, to the prison, to Alexandria, and all those spots that you guys filmed, what one for you was like the most fun to be a part of?
Honestly, any of them with air conditioning, because dude, it was so hot in the woods. It'd be every scene, exterior, woods, day, and it's like, oh god, here we go again. It's gonna be another long shoot where we're he's scraping bugs off of us, and they put layers and layers on us, so like we don't get bitten or sunburnt or whatever else, but like it just makes it that much hotter and that much more sweat coming out. So yeah, it was brutal. Anything with AC, honestly. Yeah, Alexandria was great. We had AC in the houses. It was awesome. We had like bathrooms, that were in the middle of the woods. And the CDC was great too. Back in the first season, that was actually, oh man, that was the best, because the whole first season was like record-breaking heat all summer that we were shooting. And it was like June, July that we were filming that first season. And then we get to the CDC, and it's air conditioning. It was so great. We weren't sweating.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
While the show is beloved, there is another beloved adaptation of The Walking Dead in the form of the Telltale games. Have you played them? And if you have, what are your thoughts?
I have, yeah. I love the Telltale games. Any Telltale? Yeah? Nice.
Clementine.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'd only watched the original. I haven't watched the spin-offs. Did Clementine ever make it into live action?
No.
Is she canon though? Aren't those games
Into the
canon,
comics,
right? To the comics only. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's amazing.
It's awesome. Yeah. No, I love the Telltale games. They're so good, and it's a great example of a game like just you don't realize that you are that invested about these characters, like with these characters, and until it's too late, for some of the characters, But yeah, it's such a great series of games. It's awesome.
And just the second half to that question, do you have a favorite and a least favorite character from those games?
Oh man. Yeah. Oh man. They're all written so well.
They understood the assignment, making that.
Yes. No, they really did. I feel like, a great character like redeemed themselves as I think Lenny was his name with the Kenny.
Kenny.
Yeah.
Oh, Kenny. Oh.
Yeah. No, Kenny was
sad.
Yeah. Yeah, Kenny was an awesome character. It was so much. Actually, I would say that he's like kind of both least favorite and favorite, because in the first season it's like you hate him. You hate him so much, but then like he really comes around by the end. It's great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So before we finish up here, what do you got coming up there, Chandler? What can you tell us? You got anything on the go there that we can let the folks know about?
Yeah, I so in the last 7 years since I've been off the show, which is crazy, I've been doing a bunch of indie movies here and there. I've got a rom-com coming out, a comedy coming out, a western coming out, a lot of stuff coming out in the next year. And I started up a production company, directing and producing some short films and trying to get behind the camera a little bit just to be working and being on sets more, doing a little bit of voice acting. We're actually voiced Superman, funny enough.
Right,
and,
come on. Nice.
Yeah, and a crossover with RWBY and Justice League.
No, I've seen
anime.
that. That's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that just came out 6 months ago. Or
last
like
year.
Yep.
Yeah, Rooster Teeth shut down. Yep. But just doing anything I can to stay busy and keep going.
Now, is that a conscientious effort to you? Or are you just trying to put as many tools in the tool belt right now? You got a western, comedy, rom-com. No, I think this is a serious. Sorry, I know it sounds funny, but just as I know actors, if you want to work, you want to be able to do it all, sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I audition for everything that comes my way. I really do, and so it's just worked out that those were the projects that I ended up landing, and it's so much fun getting out of my comfort zone a bit and putting on the southern accent, and playing into the comedy side of things, and it's great. It's
amazing. Any other questions there for Mr. Chandler Riggs? Oh, one right here. All right, I feel like we're getting set up here. It's a trap, isn't it?
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I would start singing, but that is not the birthday present he's looking for.
No, thank you. I'll just sit here, awkwardly while you guys all...
Yeah, exactly. And my voice is just really that bad, honestly. This is not Luther Vandross. This is just definitely Uncle Phil. Well, I just want to say a big thanks to you, Chandler. I mean, this was great. I think we all got a lot of answers to things that maybe you haven't had to answer a million times, I hope.
Yeah.
So, but I hope you all had a great time. We had a great time. And I hope especially you, Chandler, had a great time here with us.
I did. Thank you so much.
Let's hear it again one more time for Chandler Riggs.
Thanks so much.
This is Ross Marquand, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight, which is awesome. So share, and subscribe. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.